Good morning, good morning. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Morning Market Mornings with Rob. My name is Tony Benson. Rob has asked me to fill in today as he was busy with other things. So I am going to do this very quickly and hopefully you'll see some good candidates today. Before we get to the charts real quick, let's look at the economic information. Nothing from yesterday, but today we do have Powell speaking. Futures are for the most part flat this morning. And I think it's mainly because of that. People are going to wait and see what Powell has to say. I would expect the market to be pretty much sideways most of the day until that happens, and then who knows? It all depends on what Powell says. Everybody's eyes are fixed very heavily on Powell whenever he speaks. So, and you have a vice chair speaking as well, but that's not as important. And it comes after Powell. So we'll see what happens. So nothing terribly excited, I don't think this morning's going to happen. But we shall see. It's always a coin toss, right? So what's interesting is that out of the 5 candidates I have that I'm watching that are, I've got 21 on my list from my weekly whispers, but these 5 have all either triggered or real close to triggering, and 3 of them, the first 3, are all in energy. They're all oil. And then the last 2 are retail. So it's rather interesting. And the oil stuff is all going the same direction, right? Oil's been dropping back off. It ran up to 82, 85, and now it's back down to 73, 74, 75, somewhere in there. So it has dropped off. Gold got hammered this last week. So some of the commodities have been dropping in prices. So across the board for the most part. But which is another indication of a recession headed this way, right? That's one telltale sign. There's some people, I saw something a few months ago about copper, which I hadn't really thought about, but makes perfect sense. When copper is going down, then that is an indication that a recession is headed this way, because copper is used in pretty much everything. In houses, cars, in every major area of our life, copper is used. So if copper is getting weak, that means demand is getting weak, which typically can lead to a recession, right? Can point to, I should say, not lead to a recession, but could point to the fact that a recession is headed our way. So when commodities are going down in price, that's usually an indication, especially copper. But looking at these, oil, APA, you can see the trading plan I have in place. We have a little descending triangle, even though it's not technically perfect traditional in the right position, but the pattern itself is still there. So we'll see what APA does. AR, this is an actual, this is a real descending triangle, kind of. It's just a lot bigger than it should be, technically. But again, you rarely find perfect patterns. Patterns are like people in snowflakes. No two are alike, and no two are perfect. But this one I like a lot because, and it triggered an entry yesterday, so not sure what it's going to do today, but these all have earnings coming up in the next week or two, so be aware of that. I believe AR is on the 15th, APA is the 22nd, I believe it is, that they come out with earnings. So these are obviously going to be very short-term trades, within a few days or a week is all. So not sure what's going to happen to these this morning, but they did break down with, you can see AR had a nice increase in volume yesterday. So if this keeps dropping, then the opportunity is gone, unfortunately. But if it pops back up a little bit today, which I wouldn't be surprised to see it have a little bit of a relief after a big drop yesterday, there may be another entry point. The one thing I love about this is my favorite so far on the list, is because there's a lot of potential, which with a lot of potential profit also comes potential risk, right? 26.76 is the entry point down to 21.50. That's 5 points on a $26 stock is 18-19%. So there's definitely, if this thing moves big, but it's got to do it in a week. That's the risk to it as well. So this one comes with a lot of risk, but if it moves like I hope it does, then there's also a lot of reward. So you've got to balance the two out. EQT, this is similar to AR, another oil stock that did hit the entry point yesterday. And again, has earnings. I believe they're on the 15th as well. So this one I'm not as excited about, partly because when you look at it, 30.62 to 27 is a little over 3 points. That's a 10-11% move, which is still a good move, right? If you're trading options, you're looking at 100 to 120% rate of return. Generally speaking, you get about 10% move on the option for every 1% the stock moves. So if you want to guesstimate approximately what kind of rate of return you can expect, is you figure out how much the stock's going to move. If you're looking at a 10% move, you're looking at approximately about 100% move in the option. That's just generically speaking, right? And obviously it depends on your option choice, but generically speaking, for the most part, that's about what you're going to get. Jumping now to retail. interesting little contradiction here. You got Macy's with a nice ascending triangle, inverted head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it. The end result possibly will be the same, regardless of what pattern you consider it. You see the bigger picture there, and if it moves higher, then I'd be interested in this. We had a nice bullish breakout above that. What's that, 2350? Yeah, 2350, that resistance line. Nice bullish breakout with lots of volume, right? And now we came back. We did roll back and use this as a roll reversal as of yesterday. Whether or not that continues to the north side today remains to be seen. So hard to say. It's always a coin flip, like I said in the beginning, right? So all we do is put a plan in place. And that's the purpose for using the plan. 3-to-1. I got 3 times as much upside as I do downside. That way, if it stops me out, it doesn't hurt that bad. If it moves and does what I expect it to do, then it's a good day or a good week or however long it takes the trade to play out, right? So that is Macy's. And last but not least, TJ Maxx. This is another retailer, obviously. And this one, shockingly, to me at least, considering that we are, there's the long-term picture of us, all right, since the early 90s. Even though we are, looks like headed into a recession and the economy overall has been weak, this thing's been making new highs. It just took off from 60 up to 82 here recently, right? And it's a little bit mind-boggling to me considering that we're going into the economy. But then again, TJ Maxx is one of those discount stores. And the discount stores in the last 5 or 10 years have done really, really well. In fact, Burlington Coat Factory, well, now it's just Burlington. They used to be the Coat Factory, and they did a shift about a decade ago into this type of company. They realized that they saw the trend, and they recognized that discount stores like TJ Maxx, who take in, I don't know exactly how their model works, but they take in excess stuff where they can get it cheap and then sell it to the consumer at a lower price, and they're still making a healthy profit, right? Burlington shifted to that about a decade, 15 years ago, and they have done exceptionally well. I don't know I know they're public. I don't remember what their ticker is. I haven't seen them for a while, but TJ Maxx is very similar. And they've done very, very well. But what you can see here is, even though they've done very, very well, you've got a big run up from 60 to 82. You've got a beautiful looking double top. And the midpoint there is 79.15. So if it breaks the midpoint, then the odds are it's headed lower, and about 75 is where the target's at. So this one, at this point, is my favorite on this list, besides the AR. TJX and AR are my 2 favorites right now. TJ Maxx needs to break that midpoint, though. That's the key. That is the important part of this pattern. We have a double top that has been formed, but until it breaks that midpoint right there, there's no confirmation. So we'll see what the market brings us today. Futures are still basically flat. A couple are down, and NASDAQ futures are up. Every other futures are down a little bit, so nothing huge. So that is it for the day. We will see you in a couple of days. Y'all take care. God bless. Bye-bye.